Get a divorce now. Useless wife. While shopping, I received an email from my mother-in-law, and I widened my eyes in shock. It had been a year since I got married to my husband. Complaints about housework, not spending weekends at home. Recently, our arguments had increased, which was troubling me. This was the last straw. However, I wasn't surprised by the insults in the message. Who is this? Because right next to me, the mother-in-law who should have sent the email was tilting her head in confusion. I married my husband Lennon, who is 2 years older, when I was 28. Both of us worked, leading busy lives. But I wasn't dissatisfied with that lifestyle. Because my husband made efforts to keep our relationship strong. The mother-in-law, who lived alone nearby, was a bit difficult and not very talkative. So, my husband didn't force us to meet often.
Blair, you don't have to force yourself to get along with my mom. Everyone has their own comfortable distance with others.
I felt loved by his consideration. However, after a certain point, our everyday life started to crumble.
Has the quality of your cooking dropped again?
What? I don't think so. Was it not tasty?
The flavor is bland. And the house isn't cleaned properly, there's dust in front of the TV. Aren't you slacking off recently?
One day, while eating dinner, Lennon sneered at me, and I bit my lip. Despite being kind when we were dating, a year after our marriage, he started treating me coldly. Although we shared household chores, I found myself doing everything. Yet, he constantly complained and sometimes ignored me. At first, I thought he was just in a bad mood, but as the days went by, I began to worry. Did I do something to Lennon? However, I couldn't think of any reason, no matter how much I pondered. When I subtly asked him, he would just say, "Nothing," and give a curt reply. Eventually, he seemed annoyed with my attempts to discuss things. He stopped staying home on weekends and actively avoided me. Why did it turn out like this? Even if I had done something wrong, without knowing the cause, I couldn't improve anything. Desperately, an idea came to my mind. Maybe I should talk to his mother this Sunday. Since we met through a dinner party, we unfortunately didn't have mutual friends. So, the only person who knew him better than I did was his mother. Although I hadn't told my husband, I was actually on good terms with his mother. Initially, I found her blunt manner off-putting, but that perception changed one day. About 6 months after our marriage, she visited our house for some reason and forgot her handkerchief. When I brought it to her, she noticed the keychain on my phone and widened her eyes slightly. Oh. That. Do you know this group? When I asked in surprise, she blushed and nodded shyly. It turned out she was a fan of the idol group I had loved and supported for years. I can't believe you like them too, Blair. But it's embarrassing, so please don't tell my son. Gone was the impression of a taciturn and cool person. She now looked embarrassed but smiling. I instantly became fond of my mother-in-law. From then on, we went shopping for idol merchandise and attended concerts together, deepening our bond. I believed she would listen to my concerns sincerely. But complaining about her own son. She wouldn't want to hear that. Worried about being rude, I hesitated to consult her about my husband. But as I struggled alone, things escalated. One evening at dinner, he glanced at the meal I made and said,
"Sigh. Another lazy meal, huh?"
If you don't like it, don't eat. I'm trying my best to cook while working. His constant sarcasm without knowing why made me start to snap back at him. But that only seemed to irritate him more.
What? Is that how you talk to your husband? Forget it. I can't eat this.
He clicked his tongue and threw the untouched food into the sink. Then, leaving me stunned, he locked himself in his room. I worked hard to make that. Anger welled up as I looked at the wasted meal. I wanted to avoid fighting every time we met. If we could laugh together like when we were newlyweds, nothing would make me happier. But contrary to my hopes, a suspicion grew in my mind. Could he be having an affair? Recently, his overtime, business trips, and outings increased, and sometimes he came home smelling of women's perfume. If there's another woman and he's serious about her. Trapped by my thoughts, I couldn't shake the bad feeling. Soon, my suspicion turned into certainty. One day, while shopping for concert merchandise with my mother-in-law, I received a message. Thinking it was work-related, I checked my phone after excusing myself to her. I was shocked by the text. What? What does this mean? Seeing my reaction, my mother-in-law peered at my screen in confusion. Then she exclaimed upon seeing the sender. From me. The sender was her, with harsh words like "get a divorce now. Useless wife." We looked at each other in confusion. The sender was listed as my mother-in-law, but she was standing next to me, so it was obviously someone else. And it turned out, she had lost her phone a few days ago. I wasn't too worried and planned to look for it later, but who could this be? Maybe. Seeing her puzzled expression, I spoke up. I think I might know who the sender is. Her attentive gaze made me decide to share something. Listening quietly and seriously, her face was solemn. But after I finished, she smiled mischievously. Let's pretend we don't know anything and reply according to my suggestion. She proposed a plan. A few weeks later, I stood in front of my house with her. I hadn't been home for a week. After that incident, I had been staying at her place for a reason. Blair, let's go in now. Nodding at her signal, I held a running video camera in my right hand. We entered the house. At that moment, I was burning with anger. The mysterious email had made all of my husband's previously confusing actions clear. Oh. Where are they? I hear sounds coming from the bathroom. My mother-in-law, who had been looking around the empty living room, took my hand and headed straight for the bathroom. Gathering my resolve, I opened the door to the changing area, and from the other side of the door leading to the bathtub, I could hear the cheerful voices of a man and a woman. My mother-in-law sighed deeply, oblivious to our presence, and I grinned beside her. I have an idea. Then I whispered to her and hooked a tension rod I found nearby onto the door. After confirming that the two inside couldn't get out, I set up the video camera and took a deep breath. You really were cheating on me, weren't you? Startled by my sudden shout, the voices inside immediately stopped. A shadow, which seemed to be my husband, approached the semi-transparent bathroom door.
Wah. What? That voice is... Blair? What the hell is this? The door won't open.
Don't bother trying to escape. I won't let you out until I'm satisfied.
What are you talking about?
That's my line. You seem to be having a lot of fun. Who's in there with you? From the other side of the door, I could hear my husband's sharp intake of breath. When I received that mysterious email, my mother-in-law had mentioned she lost her phone. Even if it was stolen, why would the thief send me an email advising me to get a divorce? Normally, they'd try to extort money. The only person who could steal my mother-in-law's phone and impersonate her to send such an email was my husband. Once I figured it out, I explained everything to my mother-in-law. Upon learning of her son's cruel behavior towards me, she was livid. Why don't you pretend to be fooled and send a message saying I'm leaving? Following her advice, I sent a message saying, I can't stand your son's treatment anymore, so I'm leaving. I'll mail the divorce papers later. Since then, I had been staying at her house, and we had been monitoring my husband's actions together. I was shocked. As soon as I stopped coming home, he started bringing a different woman home every day. I spoke coldly in front of the bathroom door.
No, that's not it. Listen to me, Blair. Just open this door first.
By the way, I took photos of everything, so I have solid evidence. Ignoring my husband, who was pounding on the door, I scoffed. His words had no credibility at this point. We had gathered enough evidence, which is why we decided to confront him together. After a while, he began to explain frantically.
Blair, it's not what it looks like. This isn't cheating. She's someone from work.
Really? You take baths with your colleagues?
No. I heard from my mom that you were going to divorce me. You left home, so I ended up in this situation. So, it's your fault for leaving first.
My husband, now trying to blame me for everything, left my mother-in-law and me exchanging exasperated looks. He probably had no idea she was there. Then, it happened. Why on earth would I send such an email? Suddenly, my mother-in-law flung the bathroom door open and stood imposingly in front of them. My husband and the woman he was with, both stark naked, looked shocked.
What? Mom? Why are you here? And the camera? Don't look. Don't film us.
They tried to hide, glancing nervously between my furious mother-in-law and my video camera. Naturally, we blocked their escape, causing them to stumble into the bathtub and fall in a ridiculous heap on the floor. Ha! It would have been better if you'd left the door closed. Laughing hysterically, my mother-in-law and I watched as they sat down on the bathroom floor, resigned.
What the hell? I thought you two didn't get along.
The reason he thought he could trick me with a fake email from my mother-in-law was because he assumed I hated her. After we finished laughing, she looked down at them sternly. You didn't know, but Blair and I are on good terms. Now, unless you tell us everything about your relationship, you two are staying put. The two, naked and clearly scared by her intimidation, started to explain.
I was cheating. She's someone who transferred to our company.
As I suspected, he fell for this woman and wanted to marry her after divorcing me. But not wanting to pay alimony, he tried to make me initiate the divorce by treating me coldly. When I didn't ask for a divorce quickly enough, he changed tactics, trying to drive a wedge between me and my mother-in-law.
I stole the phone when we visited home. Then I sent you that email, Blair.
Looking back and forth between my husband, who hung his head, and the woman, who looked equally uneasy, I sighed deeply. I had tried to repair our marriage despite his behavior, but seeing him like this, my affection was completely extinguished. I'll give you the divorce you want. But be ready for alimony. My husband and the woman turned pale at my words, not comprehending the situation.
What? No way. I'll apologize, so please spare me the alimony. I beg you.
Desperate to save his own skin, he knelt on the floor. The woman also pleaded with a pale face, I'm sorry. However, their shallow apologies only fueled my anger. Oh. Seems like you haven't learned your lesson yet. Then stay there a bit longer. With that, I locked them in the bathroom again. My mother-in-law and I left them crying and screaming as we moved to the spacious living room to discuss the divorce. Eventually, I divorced my husband. With the solid evidence we had, I was able to claim $20,000 each from my husband and his affair partner. Their misfortune didn't end there. Rumors of our divorce spread through their company, and their affair became widely known. Unable to endure the judgmental stares, they both resigned. Losing their jobs caused financial instability, leading to frequent fights and eventually their breakup. Meanwhile, I continue to maintain a close relationship with my mother-in-law, who severed ties with her son. We even have plans to attend an idol group concert together this weekend. As hobby buddies, I look forward to a fun-filled life with her. How did you like this story? Please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.